morning, Michael. This is Michael Bullock with Bullock Agency, and he's an agent from Denver area, Colorado. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Sean.
Perfect. And Michael is also was an Orange County resident that has migrated to that area, so he has a good perspective on what are the families, that are moving out there, what they're experiencing. Michael, tell me where you cover. What are the areas that are you specialize in?
Yes, thank you. Yes, so I mostly focus on the Denver Metroplex. A lot of my listings currently are in southeast area of Denver, just into the suburbs. We're about 25 minutes from downtown, approximately 25 minutes to the airport, and a lot of Douglas County, Arapahoe County, mostly just everywhere from what we call the Denver Tech Center, which is about 15 minutes south of Denver, all the way down through the south end of Douglas County is where I spend the majority of my time. But I do service all the areas of the Metroplex here.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michael, tell me a little bit about the industry out there, okay? The tech industry and other, things that are attracting people for employment out there. Tell us what is happening out there.
Sure. Yeah. So the major industries here in Colorado are going to be the healthcare industry. That's going to be probably the biggest industry that we have. We do also have a lot of tech companies, not huge companies like Silicon Valley huge, but a lot of the medium-sized startup companies are moving out to Denver. It's a good climate for them. There are a lot of tech-savvy employees out here that they can, work with. And so it is becoming a major hotspot for tech. One of the industries that is starting to move into this area is a lot of the film production, streaming service type companies. In fact, we have just south of Denver right now, we have a major campus planned from a company called Red Bar, Barre. They're supposed to be building some serious studios just near the Centennial Airport, actually. And they were hoping to break ground, I think, unless they already started and it's been under wraps, they were supposed to be breaking ground right in the last couple months here. So that's going to be a major campus that'll employ tens of thousands of people. Wow. It's a hotspot for streaming going forward because we happen to be in a strategic place for them in terms of where all the fiber optics run through the whole country. So that's going to be a major thing. We do have Liberty Media out here. They own like the Stars channel, for example. Okay. And so I think that's going to be one of the major industries that expands. And then of course we have we're a very big tourist spot. So we have all the resorts and all the major, venues for corporate meetings and things like that kind of throughout the state.
Okay. Great. And then tell me a little bit about prices out there, because I know most people are concerned that they're moving out there because of, maybe lower prices compared to Orange County. So tell me, a median price.
Yeah. So if you're coming from some of the more expensive areas of the country, like California, Southern California, the Bay Area, or even places like New Jersey, New York, areas like that, then relatively speaking, you can actually get a lot for your money here. We're not as inexpensive as Texas, for example, or even Idaho. You can get some a little bit lower prices there. I think a lot of that is just due to sort of the geography here and where everybody's concentrated. But overall, you can get a really great deal depending on what lifestyle you want. So, for example, just south of Denver, you can find everything from very high-end luxury homes to, a single-family home for $450,000, which, is almost impossible to find in the entire state of California, as I'm sure you know. So, you have kind of both options. You could buy a really high-end condo, 1,800 to 2,400 square foot condo in the 400s, or you could buy a single family residence. But you also have, for example, what we call above grade, square footages, not including the basement. You can get a 3,000 to 3,500 square foot house above grade, which might equal 5,000 once you finish the basement. And you can get that right around mid fives to mid sixes, pretty typically here. That's going to be more of your resale homes. Some of the newer homes have such high-end finishes now, they can push up past that. But overall, you can really afford quite a lot of home and still be relatively close to all the action here in the Metroplex.
The distance-wise.
Downtown, and that sort of thing.
Very good. And what is the demographic of people that are migrating from other states? Tell me, you know what I mean, what you're seeing.
Yeah, so we're getting people really
Age-wise
from
and, you know, their family or not, or
we're getting people from all different age groups and all different parts of the country right now.
yeah.
You know, a lot of people are moving in here from California, obviously. A lot of people are moving from Texas and from the East Coast. We do see a lot of people come from the East Coast, especially the Northeast, just because they're not afraid of the weather. So
Yeah.
we have a much more mild climate here in Colorado, especially down in the Metroplex.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where we're getting a lot of the younger crowd that are trying to start families, or even, you know, the ones that are not interested in families but want to own a home.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the early 30s crowd is starting to move out here. And now what we're seeing is we're seeing a lot of the parents start to follow. Rather than seeing the parents try to convince the kids to buy $1 million small homes where they live, we're starting to see them move out here and get, you know, established here, and the parents are starting to come as well.
I got it. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the property taxes there. What's the property tax rate? I know it ranges. And then also your sales tax and income tax, because I think those are the things that a lot of people are looking when they're migrating.
Sure. Well, starting with property taxes, we're lower than a lot of places around the country. You know, for example, I live in what we call an unincorporated area of the county. So my property taxes, for example, on my own home are only about 0.7% of the purchase price, which is very low. You know, some of the newer homes will get into the 1%, maybe 1.1%, depending upon what kind of, you know, things they had to do to get the community developed. But overall, taxes for the properties are very low here, relatively speaking. I mean, I know there are lots of states like Texas or even New Hampshire, you get into these really high property taxes, but that's kind of to offset the state income tax that they don't have. Here, our state income tax, interestingly, is a flat tax of approximately 4.6%. So it doesn't really matter how much you make. It's a flat tax for everybody, which a lot of people from California that are, especially people like in the tech industry that are getting up into those higher income levels, that's really lucrative for them. So, and then sales tax is pretty typical. You're going to find a 7 to 8% in most of the major cities. Unless you get out into the unincorporated areas like where I am, it's only 5%. So for all your major purchases like you know, cars and furniture, and obviously your online purchases, you know, I would only be subject to the 5% sales tax, which actually saves a lot of money. So.
It does. I agree. No, and that's why we're seeing a lot of people, you know, downsizing when they, you know, they're downsizing out there just because places like Colorado, you know, Idaho, just because in terms of taxes, it works out so much better for
them. And frankly, we even see a lot less fees. You know, I know we're always worried about the more formal taxes, but you know, the fees are one of those, you know, informal taxes that you experience in a lot of places, and things like DMV registration fees and you know, some of the costs of utilities are so much lower than in a place like Southern California. You know, even gas.
And even HOAs, I would think, are the HOAs lower maybe? And
HOAs are much lower.
Yeah, because that itself, I know we don't think about it in terms of taxes, but it really is, because you can deduct it. So it's also another, you know.
That's true. And for those typical homes, those single family homes in the $550,000 to $750,000 range, more often than not, you're only going to see HOAs in the range of about $80 to $100 a month on the high end. And a lot of places have a lot less than that even. So it isn't, and they still have the community centers. They still have the pools and the tennis courts, and they still, you know, maintain the roads and trash and all that kind of thing. So it is a lot less in some of those areas.
And just very quickly, give me some examples of, I'm assuming, because I know a lot of people from California that are moving, at least from the interviews I've done with agents from other states, they're moving into brand new communities. So it seems like they like that and they can afford it, you know, because they're moving from this area. So give some typical names of brand new communities in terms of, you know, retirement areas, not necessarily, but then also families.
Yeah, so there are actually kind of a lot of areas around the Metroplex that are brand new. In fact, the majority of the Metroplex, I would say at this point, has been built in the last 20 years. And I just was told from another broker that I work with that They have another 100,000 homes slated for brand new homes in the city of Parker, which is just about 25 minutes south of Denver.
Yeah.
A lot of the areas are going to be Southeast Aurora. That's going to be where you're going to get a lot of the new homes, like Blackstone Country Club. There's a new community called South Shore that's all around the big Aurora Reservoir. And these are beautiful homes. I mean, we're talking 4,000 to 6,000 square foot homes, all the high end finishes that you would expect in the new homes, but all going to be under $1 million for the most part.
Yeah.
Even the large ones. I recently got some people into a new home that was about 6,000 square feet finished, beautiful new track home, all the high end finishes. And they were into it just over 900,000. You know, when you're comparing that to trying to buy 6,000 square feet of high end finishes in Southern California,
exactly,
substantial difference. So
yes. Absolutely. And Michael, I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing this right now. Tell me what has been the growth in terms of prices. Would you have an idea of, you know, from 2019 to 2020, what was the, how has the prices fluctuated?
Well, I think similarly to a lot of markets around the country, the prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 3 years here. They are starting to taper off a little bit, but they rose really fast. And I think that's why we saw such a big boom here and a lot of people moving around. They made a lot of money on their homes if they bought it back in 2015. And so we have seen substantial gains. I mean, kind of unreasonable gains, I would say over here. But I think a lot of that is due to the fact that we have so many people moving into the state. They are keeping those prices higher and they're coming from more expensive places. So for them, even though they're sort of inflating the prices by migrating here in massive numbers, they're still getting a great deal compared to where they're coming from.
Exactly.
So as far as they're concerned, you know, that little bit of jump that we've seen in the last 3 years is not enough to knock them out of the market. And so we're still seeing a big migration.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And one last thing, we have about a minute or so. Tell me a little bit about investment properties. I know that I'm encouraging my daughter, you know, she lives in Santa Monica, she's renting right now with friends, but I'm like, okay, if you want to stay here, you should probably buy in another state, you know, make sure. So tell me a little bit about investment. Is it a good idea, not a good idea in that area, that type of thing?
Yeah, so if you're looking to own rental properties, it's it does take a little bit more effort to make sure you're buying the right home at the right price in the right area. You know, our market is very affordable for average income earners. And so we see a lot lower rate of rentals here than we would in Southern California, for example. Because, you know, if you're going to have to pay $2,500 a month to rent something, there's a lot of places you can actually buy and own here. So from that perspective, it takes a little bit more analysis in making sure that you're getting the right place. However, if you're a first-time home buyer or even a second-time home buyer, you know, you definitely have a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of great single-family homes that are only going to continue to rise in value. And there are actually, you know, from a real estate investor standpoint, there's a lot of flip opportunities and development opportunities out here. So a lot of infill opportunities where you can buy a parcel of land and build somewhere that's completely developed all the way around it. Those are sort of everywhere, all over the Metroplex. And so if you have the time to do the research and you have the right resources, you can make some good investments out here just doing that. Very good.
Thank you so much. This has been very informative, Michael. Again, this is Michael Bullock with Bullock Agency. He's an agent and a broker, and he services the Denver area, and you said the Southeast and that area. So I will share his information with you guys on Facebook. And thank you. Really appreciate it. Happy New Year to you. I know that you got injured on your toe, but I hope it does better and it heals better.
Thanks so much, Sean. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.